plaintiff, Linda Montanari, struggled with a heroin addiction for years. And she says her brother, the defendant, has been struggling with a crack addiction since his 20s. Linda says she's now clean, and she's suing her brother for restitution payments. Defendant Joey DENEGRIS says his addiction is so intense that he was shot 11 times while trying to purchase crack, but he just can't seem to stop using. Joey denies owing his sister.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Start with you.
I'll start off by saying, first and foremost, I love my brother Joey more than anybody in the world who's left. Anyway, I love my brother Joey. I've watched him struggle with addiction since his 20s, and me as well.
People gonna think I'm struggling with an addiction this week. I've been rubbing my nose all week. I don't know what it is.
Okay,
It's good.
well,
You know me, if I'd have seen somebody rubbing their nose, I'd have called them a dope fiend like that. And here I am rubbing my nose every day. Nonetheless, you all, have you overcome your addiction? Because people gonna think I'm still going through mine. Yeah, you, yes, have
yes.
you? All right.
However, I struggled with addiction all my life. Right before my 16th birthday, a family member turned me on to heroin.
Wow.
I did not know how bad. I saw him getting all this positive attention, Corvettes, money, a barbershop. He was like my idol. You know, my mother and my grandmother were just giving him things to make him stop. Back in the 70s, I guess that's what they thought you'd do to get somebody to stop using. But he was a dope fiend. He turned me on to it. I didn't know it was addicting and what it was going to do to me. I had no idea, but I ended up 10 or 15 rehabs later, you know, and however, I'm not that person, thank God, today. But from where I sit, my brother's been struggling since he's been in his 20s as well. So I've been in his shoes, okay? He's a great worker, a hard worker. He's been shot 12, 13 times. He's been, been through it all. You know, he's been through a lot. And I think he's struggling, but that's up to him to say.
What type of drug?
Mine was heroin. His drug of choice is crack. Okay. So
I want to get back to your 15 times. How long have you been sober?
Approximately 10 years.
Okay.
Give or take. Give or take.
All right. And so what do you think was the difference maker in all of your stints in rehab?
Going to meetings did not work for me, and counting my days, I finally decided to go to church. I was baptized, and I have God in my life, and that works for me. What
didn't work about NA? What was wrong?
I knew too many people, and I had used with most of them, and all the dope fiends I knew from where I grew up were in the meetings, and some of them were full of it, and some of them I worked for, you know. So for me, I found God, and that's what worked for me anyway.
For the last 10 years. And you haven't relapsed in 10 years?
Yes, I have.
Okay. How many times?
Just under a few. Because you know why? I didn't do it in so long that when I took it and I just would sniff just one little bit, I ended up in the hospital because my body wasn't used to it after so long. But I'm not that person anymore. So Joey and I lost our parents. My father was 52, died of lung cancer. My mother died 5 or 6 years later of a lung-related also. My grandmother, Joey has been through, he was the youngest. So I'm not only a sister, I feel like sister/mother, because when he doesn't come home at night, I'm the one in the window looking and worrying about him. And he knows. I worry that I'm going to lose my brother, and I don't have much family left.
How long have you all lived together?
I'm sorry.
You say when you would look out the window and when he doesn't come home, does that mean you all live together for a certain time frame?
Yes, he got out of prison and he was living in a sober/recovery house. And everyone in that house, they were selling drugs. You know, those sober houses are not clean. Everyone was selling drugs and knocking on his door, and he was slamming the door in their face. And I don't know how long he was going to be able to do that. Well, anyway, once a week, at least one, maybe more, people were found dead in bed once a week for 2 months. Finally, I convinced my ex-husband, who took me in after he divorced me and took me, and I lived with him and his mother. I asked him if my brother could please come with us to live because I was afraid he was going to die in that house. And he was saying no, but how long could you say no when you're an addict? You know, so I was worried for him. So he came and stayed. But when I know he's not home, I'm always in the window. I'm calling his phone all night. And being an addict myself, like I said, I've been in those shoes long enough in my life and been around long enough, and I kind of feel that he might still be struggling today once in a while, but that's for him to say.
Sir, give me some background.
I started smoking pot when I was young, and like she said, at a young age I started doing crack, I think like 20 years old, and then my father died when I was 21, and I started going off the wall really bad. So my mother sent me to live with my uncle in Omaha, Nebraska. And I went out there. I did really well. Took a little time, but I wound up getting like 4.5 years clean. I had my own business, a couple houses. I got married. And then I relapsed. And finally got divorced.
How?
Someone showed it to me, some crack, and I don't know, it's like they planted a seed or something.
Yeah, when you see it, you're definitely going to relapse. But my question is, how did you get in the company of crack?
Someone I hired, and I didn't do it at first, but eventually I did it, and I lost my 4.5 years.
Why didn't you fire him immediately then?
That's what I should have done.
Okay. I mean, you could have got high and still fired him.
Yeah, well, I did after that, but it was too late. You
just said, give me that crack, you fired. Now get out of here.
Right? I'd have been better off. But anyway, I had all this stuff, and after I relapsed, I lost it all in a matter of like a year. Came back to Connecticut, and I never got any real clean time. 9 months, 6 months, 9 months, here and there. But I've always worked, It's one thing I can say about myself. I always work.
You're a functional crackhead. That's what they call them. Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's
and
what
then
they call them.
in 2000.
Or a recovering addict. You're in recovery?
I am now.
All right. Well, you're a recovering crack addict. All right, not a crackhead. You're a recovering crack user. Got it.
I don't go to meetings now. I used to. That's what kept me clean. So.
Yeah, I don't know why, folks. Y'all got to go to these meetings. She says it's God. God certainly plays a role in it, but you relapsed a few times. So people, I got friends who've been in NA and they start out and continue on the right way and never went back. And so that's why I advocate for it so much. I've seen it work so often. In fact, that's the only thing I've seen work permanently is NA. But you all keep trying the different ways.
You're definitely right. I ain't going to say you're not right. That's what kept me clean.
Yeah. Okay, let's get to why you're suing him, ma'am.
Okay, my brother got out of prison one time, and he's a master carpenter. He's great. Like he said, he was working 6. He got out. Anyway, he got out. He had a truck, waiting for him. He could not get insurance on that truck because he didn't have a license for 5 years being locked up. So nobody would give him car insurance, truck insurance for the vehicle. So he asked me to do him a favor. I never say no to him, so I did it. Let him put the truck in my name, and he went back to work and everything was okay. Then he got beat. He relapsed. He got beat with a pipe and he got his shoulder broken. I don't know what he did exactly, but he might tell you. He got beat with the pipe. His shoulder was broken in 4 or 5 places. When they released him from the ER, he tried to drive to my house. He was staying with me at the time. He got beat with the pipe coming home from the ER. He hit a telephone pole and then hit a car dealership and a bunch of cars. So they sent us papers from the court eventually, both of us. When he got back to my house, he ditched his truck when he hit the pole and he walked to my house. So he was sleeping on the couch. The police came over. He evaded the scene of an accident. They took him right to jail that day. So they've sent us papers for the car dealership for all the cars and the phone pole and everything. And we didn't do anything. At the time, I kept asking him to help me, but he was in jail. He said when he got out, he would help. So I ended up being responsible, of course, because legally the truck was in my name. So I paid the restitution. Yeah. And while he was locked up, he promised me the world. He'd pay me back, everything I wanted to hear, and I got all his tools out of the pawn shop, his computer. I always do it for him. I didn't include any of that in this. It's just, I did it because I knew he needed to go back to work.
Tell me, sir. You tell me about it.
I left out one thing in my last story, though. I need to tell you this. When I relapsed, Judge, I went with someone to go buy crack, and I got shot 11 times and lived. I still got a bullet in my C2. That was in 2001. Luckily, that's pretty important.
Yeah, it is. The fact that you didn't stop after that.
Right?
Shot 11 times and still didn't stop. That's what I want people to know. Right. Glad you made it, but the biggest story out of there is that's how addictive it is.
Still didn't stop.
Go ahead.
All right. So you want me to tell you about the accident?
Yes.
Yeah, I came back, she let me put my truck in her name and stuff. And I was working every day and I relapsed again and I actually robbed the place and she knew the guy and I told her, I said, Lynn, I just broke into this place. Don't tell him what I did. And she thought I said, tell him. So she told him. I'll explain that later. This guy beat me with a pipe. He almost killed me. Broke my arm, bones were sticking out and everything.
Have you smoked crack since then?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
I don't know.
No, I understand. I know of many people, they talk about how they almost bust their heart, felt like they were going to die, had heart attacks, have congestive heart failure, and still smoke crack. And the doctor say, one more puff and you're out of here. Oh, I'll take my chances.
Right.
So I understand.
It's a horror. It's an evil. I will say that. It's an evil drug.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I keep doing it, but I do. I can tell you why. Well, my excuses, losing my father, my mother and stuff at a young age.
Yep, trauma. I understand that. I totally understand. The folks I'm talking about, they at least one of them lost their parent as well at age 23 and traumatized them. And so I understand, sir. I'm not inconsiderate or lack compassion for it. I know I joke around with people and call them crackheads. I'm typically trying to shame them into rehab when I call them crackheads. That's why I clarified with you when you told me you were a recovering crack addict, and that's what I will refer to you as, not a crackhead. But nonetheless, I know exactly how strongly addictive it is. I've seen everything everything that you've just said. People come within inches of their life on several occasions and go right back and do it. So I understand what you went through, and a lot of it is trauma that they faced in their life, and they're trying to cover the pain without going to counseling. I always say privileged kids go to counseling. The others, many of us, go to jail. And in this case...
I've done that plenty of times.
Huh?
I've been to jail plenty of times.
How many?
In fact,
How many?
I've been in prison 4 times.
Oh, I thought you said 20. All right.
I just, back in 2018, Judge, I'll tell you my last arrest. I cut a hole in the side of a gas station, went in there and stole all the cigarettes and the money.
Cut a hole and went in while it was closed?
Yes, I went in like 2 o'clock in the morning, stole all the cigarettes, the energy drinks, the money, everything.
All right.
So a little hole.
That's enough. Don't give any crackheads any ideas. That sounds like a pretty safe bet. But how did you get caught? That sounds like a pretty safe bet.
I cut myself.
So what do you say to your sister about the car?
What I say is, we both got the letters from the car place because, you know, I did it and the car was in her name.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so...
That's called joint and several, meaning they can go after one or both. And if they go after one and the one person is held totally accountable, that one person can go after the other. You got me? So she is the one person, it sounds like, that was held totally accountable for a joint judgment, and they took it all from her.
Can I say something?
Yes.
My brother is a good person. When he's not using, even when he is using, he's a good person. He's got a good heart. He goes and tries, like I would, my passion is to help young females not have to go through what I went through because of my addiction. But he's very good-hearted. He's a good person. He doesn't argue with anybody. He's just a good person. And I know what he's capable of when he's really clean. Yep. And I don't want to lose my brother. I don't want him to die because I don't, you know, we lost enough family, and 99% of mine and his friends are gone.
Lord. When's the last time you used, sir?
Friday.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to...
be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm glad you are.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Thank you. I'm glad you are.
Not a liar.
I'm going to get you some inpatient rehab. Go to NA and church. NA, much of NA is predicated on religion or spirituality. So that's not uncommon. In fact, that's the best way. Do both. In fact, a lot of churches have NA meetings. Find you an NA meeting at a church and then come back to the church for the service. But we're going to find you a place. That's the only thing I've seen work. When you go through the therapy, that's what I've seen work. So good luck to you. You're going to do it?
I believe I need it, Judge.
You're going to do it. I didn't ask you whether you needed it.
Yes, I'll do it.
All right, then you...
what do I do, call you after?
No, we're going to have somebody call you. You don't have to worry about us. We'll call you. In fact, we may not call. We have our folks sneak up on you. Because we know if we call you, you might dodge us and you might change your mind and say, oh, okay, yeah. And then we go there and you're nowhere to be found. We're going to sneak up on you. Where you at now? Where you at? Where?
West Haven.
Where
West
are
Haven.
you?
He wants to know where you live. West Haven, Connecticut.
Where you at? I want to know this moment where you at.
I'm at Hotel Hilton.
Hilton? All right, my people will be waiting outside very shortly to take you behind the rehab. We're going to put you in the car and take you right there. You're not going to have a chance to say, well, let me go home and get my things. They'll be right there, ushering you right from there to the rehab. All right, ma'am, I'm going to grant you your judgment. He owes you, and he's not disputing that. He's asking for help, and I admire him for doing that. We may not get you, but I promise you, we have taken people. If you were here, we might do that. We have taken people from our court straight to rehab because I can tell when somebody's gonna try and get a little slick and, okay, give me 2 days, and you never catch them again. So we carry you right out of the court. So I'm glad that you've agreed to do it. And you see how important it is. It's important not just to come here and laugh and to have fun and decide disputes, but also to help change folks. And so we do everything we can. So don't let us invest in you and you won't invest in yourself. All right? You got me?
All right, thank you.
You seem sincere. And so I'm going to have you come back and let us know how you're doing.
Okay.
We're going to follow up with you. You don't have to call us. We'll call you.
Got my number.
Both times. Have a good day. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love you, Joey. I'm so glad. I love you,
Are you
Joey.
happy?
You know I love you, right? It's everything I do is out of love. I just want you to know that, okay?